Good Thursday morning, guys. And it's Jim, it's Amedeus, and it's our intrepid reporter, the one, the only Sean Miller in Manchester, where today, I think Barcelona's coming.
That's right. Yeah. We got
the entire city of Barcelona looks like they're on their way.
Yeah. There's some fans here. It looks like from Barcelona. I don't know what the number, maybe 7,000 coming in. So I just know the tickets are impossible to get. People are. I have mine. I got mine a few weeks ago, but people are offering me 350 pounds for tickets and stuff. But it's going to be a crazy night. So. Everybody's getting there early to sing and everything. So yeah, I'm right in the center of town here in Piccadilly Gardens. There's one of the tram stops. This is the actual garden here with the center of town. Basically, they got the markets open for the food and everything. So they'll be pretty crowded today. It's pretty crowded out here today just because the sun's out. So
when will you get to the
for
stadium?
The first time? What's that?
When will you get to the stadium today?
Probably like 7:30, maybe 7:20, something like that. I know they want everybody there early in my section because they want them there singing and making noise and stuff. So, gonna go to a place called Mulligan's. I met a guy called Peter Gallagher that he works for this place called Hawksmoor. It's a really good steak place here. So he said, come out to the steak place last night. Went out there, checked it out, and then gonna get up there pretty early. Some people want to try to get to the match right as it's starting, 10 minutes before, but I usually try to get there a little bit early. Sometimes it's chaos in these games, so any kind of issues, at least you're up there and you're not missing the first 10 minutes of the match.
Right. So then, after tonight, you'll head back to London, or are you heading home? You're not heading home until Monday.
I'll go London Saturday. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what time. My train is at 3, but maybe I might go a little bit earlier just to get down there. But and then the final Carabao Cup final is Sunday. I think it's at 4:30 this here. I think 11:30 your time. So,
right.
And then home on Monday. But yeah, it's going to be that's talking about a crazy ticket. I mean, right now they're asking the cheapest price I've seen is like £1,000 for a final ticket. Yeah, Newcastle hasn't been in a final in forever, so
So everyone in Newcastle's showing up, huh?
Yeah, they're really, a lot of their fans are kind of begging for tickets and stuff. So,
any thoughts on today's game?
I like a few games today. I think Manchester United wins tonight. I think no Pedri, no Gavi is pretty big. Yesterday, that Inter Porto game played out like exactly kind of the way I think we thought. 1-0. Lukaku scored late, but
That's my guy. That's my guy.
I think the second leg is going to be exactly the same. I think it'll be 1-0, maybe Porto, maybe Inter, but there's not going to be goals in that. The shock was, Manchester City. I thought they were pretty terrible in the second half. They could have kind of been out of sight in that tie, and all of a sudden they lose that game, or they draw, and now they'll probably win, but they're almost like Liverpool now. Do you trust that team to win a tight game right now? I just don't know.
No.
I don't. Maybe they win the next tie, but I think everyone was kind of thinking they were going to win pretty easily yesterday, and I thought they could have, but there's a lot of, I don't know. When you talk to, there's Diggs, what's up? When you talk to a lot of these people here that are City fans, there's a lot of stuff apparently going on behind the scenes that people don't really know about. And there's a lot of
Palace intrigue, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, that guy Cancelo, they got sold. There's Amedeus, I'll tell you offline, but there's a lot of stuff, some
Yeah.
rumors and stuff.
I
mean,
hear Holland might leave in the summertime especially if they get relegated. You know, that team is not going to stay together.
yeah, it's tough. I mean, you know, they're boring to watch. Like, they're just boring. Like, I'm watching that game last night, and I'm trying to stay awake because we watched the first half out at a pub, and I was like, you know what, it's just boring. Like, they have 75% possession. They're not going to bowl around at mid-pitch. I mean, it's just boring to watch. I mean, if you watch that Manchester United and Barcelona match on, even the one on Sunday against Leicester, I mean, those matches aren't boring. The teams had, Barcelona or Manchester United could have scored 4 goals in that game. I mean, multiple goals. I mean, it was like a track meet. And, like, I can't, as a coach, I was always an attack. Like, I'd rather win the game 4-3 than 1-0. Like, I didn't care if we won 4-3. I wouldn't complain about the defense. I would just say, listen, we scored more goals. And it's just like, I mean, trying to watch City, it's just so boring to me. But, it's crazy because all four of the Champions League teams didn't get a win. They all 3 of them lost and 1 of them drew. So they're all second leg here. It's going to be interesting in March here. So we'll see. I think, a couple of them still might go through. I think City probably goes through. I still think Chelsea could. I don't know if they will. Liverpool's obviously out. And I still think AC Milan probably beats Tottenham. I think they get a draw. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Today, there's a lot of games. I mean, there's a ton of games on the schedule. Amedeus, I put a couple bets in here. I don't know which ones you're kind of looking at there.
Yeah, there's definitely a few good ones, that's for sure. The Monaco Leverkusen game is definitely intriguing one.
What about Larnaca?
Oh man, they got their win at home last week. I don't know if they do it on the road now. They might come away with the draw though. They
draw, yeah, and that's all they need there. Yeah, playing at Dnipro. Yeah, there's some interesting games today. So
you got to remember Dnipro, like, yeah, they're the best team in Ukraine right now, but like they haven't really played in so long.
Well, it's kind of tough to play when there's a war going on.
The thing was, like, they started their season late because of the war, obviously, but then they got it going before the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So then they broke for the World Cup, but they haven't come back again yet. So it's kind of like they started half the season, stopped at the World Cup like everybody else, but they never came back. So these teams, they haven't been playing a lot. That's always an issue for me.
You got any man in the street interviews there, Sean? Anybody who wants to talk to you?
Yeah.
About the game?
Might be able to find somebody here see if we can talk to them about
a Barcelona fan, maybe? Or a Manchester United fan?
Yeah, there's a few people walking around with some scarves here. I'll see if I can find someone. I can't walk too far because I'm standing next to the Starbucks here because they got Wi-Fi because the signal here is a little dodgy.
Right.
I tried to make some FaceTime calls and it was just not happening. So yeah.
Gotta stay close to the Starbucks for your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the story of everybody in the United States is whenever you can't find internet, you go to the closest Starbucks.
Everybody with their laptops just sitting out there, right? No wonder you can never get a seat in Starbucks. People come at 6 a.m. and they don't leave.
It's an office. The service call.
Yeah. That's the Elliot Alderson used to hang out at Ron's Coffee because they had a gigabyte connection there, but yeah. But
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of randos walking around yet. But if I see anybody with some scarves
you won't find any Manchester United fans in Manchester. That's Foxy getting on us here.
Most,
Having some fun.
right, Foxy, right. Most of them are in the pubs, to be honest with you, already.
Right.
So they're in the pubs before the match, so it's already there.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
We got that. Let's see.
Hey, Sean, what do you think of this Fiorentina Braga match in the Conference League? You know,
Fiorentina's up 4-0, right?
Yeah, and they were minus 130 yesterday, and now they're minus 163, and I can't understand because like they're not an offensive team. They scored 3 of their goals after Braga got a red card. They have a 4-goal
Braga
lead.
might be just. Yeah, Braga might have just. Sometimes like when those rosters come out, like you saw, like Braga might have just said, "Listen, we're not bringing anybody to the thing. We're going to just focus on trying to get into the Champions League." Foxy. Yeah, I got one. I got one a few weeks ago. I was just telling as people were off. I got one for 29 pounds a few weeks ago through the site, and then now people are offering 350 for the tickets. And the Carabao Cup final tickets are ridiculous. I mean, the Newcastle fans are buying them apparently for like £1,200, £1,300 because they haven't been in a cup final since Moses walked the earth. So they apparently 7 generations of Newcastle fans are trying to get into Wembley there. So. But it's just crazy. They're just offering like crazy money for. If I had a ticket and people were going to be offering me £1,500, I would really have to think about that because, that's I could go sit in a pub and I could go sit in a pub and watch it with a bunch of fans, and then take that money and do. Yeah, Foxy. I mean, it's crazy. He paid, his buddy paid $2,400. I mean, look, it's $2,400 plus the train down and plus the drink, the train back. Apparently, Foxy, all the trains back to Newcastle after the match are dry trains too. They're gonna lock people up if you're drinking on the train. So, but it's out of control here. They told me to try to jib it and then just get in, somehow. But I think since the Euros in 2020, when all those fans got in, I think it's going to be a
safe
little
idea.
tougher. Yeah, but we'll see.
What do you guys think about Juventus today?
I don't really know what to think of that team. I mean, they're on the road, I think, right at Nantes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know they're favored. I know they're minus money. I don't, to be honest, I don't necessarily trust them. I think Nantes could get a result there. So there's another guy walking around that doing questions. Let me get him on. I wouldn't trust Juventus in this match. There's a lot of these games today. I looked at, and I just didn't. I mean, there's 16 games between the two competitions, and I just didn't trust a lot of the teams. I just don't know how. I mean, the Conference League, I don't know how you could even. That's.
If you look hard enough, you can find some value in AEK Larnaca.
No, I found I like. I forget the ones I had. I have a 4-teamer, and it's. But I mean, there's definitely some things, but I mean, some of these it's just. I don't know. I mean, Juventus should win that, but I don't know. They should have won at home as well. I mean, they were leading late, so it's just tough to kind of wager on some of these teams at this point. I mean, look, it's the same thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Foxy will probably tell you like these Premier League matches are getting tougher and tougher every week. I actually thought they were a lot easier last year last season. I mean, it's really, really tough. I mean, these teams are all pretty much even at the bottom. The bottom 6 teams are all about the same. The middle 6 or 7 teams are all about the same, and like probably the middle 7 or 8, and then the top 4 or 5 teams. I mean, it's just, I don't know. People ask me who's going to finish top 4 now. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be Tottenham. It could be Newcastle. It could be Manchester United. It could be, it's really tough. I mean, City could fall apart if all this stuff happens. So, I mean, they're probably too good of a squad, but just, you just keep hearing stuff about all this stuff behind the scenes and all the negativity and stuff. Like, who knows? I mean, that's the kind of team that could fall apart, especially if they think that there's going to get sanctioned and stuff. So, imagine if City gets, 15-point deduction. I mean, they're saying it's not going to be for a couple years, but imagine if they get a point deduction. All of a sudden, that top 4 race is going to be chaos.
Yeah.
So, it's just wide open, and the bottom of the table is even crazier. So.
Yeah, that's what happens when there's a competitive league, right, Sean? So it's all really like, the team at the bottom of the table in the Premier League could get out with a win. Like it's that close right now, and there's about 6 teams right at the bottom there, like you said, like 14 to 20, pretty much 15 to 20, even 14 to 20. They all have pretty much the same amount of points. One loss for any of those teams in 15th, 16th could see them in relegation after the weekend if some of the other teams win. So obviously
Leeds has a manager now. So Foxy, I think their midfield stinks, Foxy. I'll be honest. Like, I do. I think you could be correct, though, that they'll only be playing in that one competition, so that could be big for them. But, I just don't know that they're that good, to be honest. So, but you could be correct there. Yeah, they could be correct there. Their midfield is terrible. That kid Bajcek that everybody's talking about, I mean, he's a center back. Like, they got him playing midfield because they don't have any midfielders. They're just, Jordan Henderson's washed. But yeah, you're going to see some of this stuff coming up, I think, especially if they get knocked out, which they're going to. But, I think a team like Southampton, with James Ward-Prowse scoring goals, I mean, they won 1-0 the other day. I mean, if they pick up a couple, he gets a couple more free kicks and they pick up a couple 1-0 wins somehow, because there's talent on that team. All of a sudden now, maybe they're up in 16th, and then, it's going to be, whatever. Oh, Foxy's worried about Newcastle. I didn't see that. Newcastle.
Yeah. You know what? I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that Foxy's like me with his Newcastle. He's a pessimistic fan. He understands, he understands his team's limits, just like I understand my AC Milan's limits. Okay, it's you got to understand where you're at. But still, I think you could be a little more positive, Foxy. Personally, like I know they're starting to slip, and it's those draws piling up. But if we turn some of those draws into wins, they could very well keep their top 4 spot, because personally I don't think Liverpool is that good, and I think they could even outplay Tottenham and finish ahead of them.
Hey, guys, there's a double-edged sword to this, and you guys have just been talking about parity in leagues, right? Where there isn't that much difference between 1 and 5, right? Is that good or bad?
No, it's good. I mean, you can't. The Bundesliga right now. I mean, look. I mean, there's 3 teams tied on points right now. But I mean, there's nobody in the world that you would talk to, even with 3 teams tied: Union Berlin, Dortmund, and Bayern Munich. If you probably asked 100 fans, 99 of them would say Bayern Munich wins by 10 points. Like, it's just gonna happen. Like, all of a sudden, Dortmund will blow some games that they blow, because that's what Borussia Dortmund does. And then, Union Berlin, obviously.
They'll pull a Newcastle and just draw 5 straight.
They have a big game today against Ajax. Look, if Union Berlin gets through, against Ajax, and they're playing in the Europa League, round the 16, they're gonna probably start to drop back. So well, I don't think anybody thinks that anybody other than them will win. In Portugal, it's only the two teams. Sporting Lisbon and Braga are sometimes there, but they never win. Every once in a blue moon.
I was gonna say Sporting got their one of the decade like a year or two ago.
Yeah. They that was the one, and then they won't win for a while, and then you'll see.
They're like the Atletico Madrid of Portugal, right? It's always the Barcelona, Real Madrid, and then you get Atletico gets like the one in the decade.
Yeah, and PSG same way. I mean, I don't think obviously they didn't win it last year, but they'll win the league. But this is, I think you need to start having some. The Premier League, I think, in the next 10 years will be more open because you're going to have Newcastle, you're going to have Manchester United, you're going to have Arsenal, you're going to have City. Unless they fall apart, the thing falls apart. You're going to have, Liverpool maybe if they regroup and sell some players and buy some players, and obviously some Chelsea at some point probably will turn it around if this guy figures out how the league works. But some embarrassing stories coming out about him today about how he was talking to a guy and said they asked him why. They're talking to media people and they asked him why he bought all those players. Said, they're young, whatever. It doesn't really matter. We're in the Champions League every year, so we always have the Champions League money. And they're like, "What are you talking about? You're not in the Champions League." "Oh no, yeah, we're in it every year. We automatically get in." And they're like, "No, that's not how it works here." And he's like, "No, I think you're wrong." And then his advisor pulled him away, and then he came back and they're like, "Oh yeah, you guys are right." So
that's the Jerry Jones of
they're a disaster. They're a disaster. They're gonna have to.
That's like Ron Rivera being like, "Hey, we're not out of the playoffs with the loss today. What do you mean?"
Yeah,
you're wrong.
They're gonna Chelsea's gonna end up having to sell about probably 7 or 8 players. I mean, they need to sell anyway, but that because of financial fair play, because they're not finishing top 4. There's no way. I mean, they might not even make Europe. So if they finish 8th or 9th, they're gonna end up having to probably sell 7 or 8 players. That's just to make sure they're in the complying with financial fair play. So it's a little bit of a mess. So for all the money that's in the Premier League, top 4 teams should be doing better in Champions League. Yeah, no, you're right. 100%. They should. And look, once again, I still a couple of those teams are gonna advance, and all 3 of them. I mean, Liverpool's out, but the other 3 all have a chance to go through. And then if you're in the quarterfinals, you have a chance to win the tournament. Any of those teams are good enough to win it. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, you've got the when you're talking about, I mean, Spurs fell off the face of the earth. Liverpool, I mean, he's right. All 4 of those teams should be.
Yeah. There's no excuses for Man City. Definitely no excuses for Man City. But I think with Liverpool and Chelsea, those teams are trash this year. They're in Champions League because they finished top 4 last year, but they're trash, and you're not going to see them. I don't think you're going to see either in the Champions League next year because they're not going to finish top 4 again.
Yep. And you got Tottenham's back in the top 4 right now. They just moved ahead of Newcastle on the weekend. So it depends to see. We'll see how they if Harry Kane stays healthy, and they they don't have really a midfield at this point. So it'll be exciting. Interesting to see what they do. I think they play Chelsea this weekend, so that'll be pretty big.
Well, I know that the other point to this, and you guys have been saying this over and over and over, is those 4 teams that you're just talking about. They're not poor. They damn sure spend a lot of money, which goes to prove you can
that's right.
If you spend it wrong, it's still wrong.
Yeah, well, look at Todd Bowley. He's a great example, right? He gets to the team. He has no idea how it works. Just thinks my team's automatically in Champions League, so I have all this money. Oh, you're looking at a player? Okay, I'll go offer them 30 million more. Oh, you're looking at a player? I'll go offer them 30 million more. I don't need these players, but I just don't want you to have them.
I don't want everybody else to have.
And look, I mean, they bought, most of those players they bought are all U23 players with huge upsides. Batishil, Enzo Fernandez, obviously, the winger. I mean, they
Mudryk,
bought
really
them.
good.
Yeah, look, they bought. I mean, I do think like when they get a proper coach in there, because obviously Potter's not working, and they get they get another year, these guys are just all thrown together. I mean, when they get to the in the summer and they get a chance to train and work, I think Chelsea will be better next year. I just think it's kind of a mismatch right now. Obviously Fernandez just came in, but they will be better because they do, and they're young. Their core of players is young. I mean, they're going to bin off some of these older guys, and they'll be back. I think they, the way they're set up, I think they have a chance to be back before like Liverpool does. I just think Liverpool is just old at this point. Their midfield is old. Their whole team got old, and Klopp's done this before with these old teams. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, going into the Champions League match, Liverpool, they had won 2 before going into that Real Madrid, but they still, they still aren't a good team just because they won the 2 matches, and I didn't think they were going to start turning around. Whereas Chelsea, I think, is the opposite. You can kind of start to see in their matches how they're playing a lot better. The attack is flowing better. They're getting their scoring chances. The results aren't coming yet. But as you touched on, Sean, this team is just got thrown all together. They haven't really, played as a cohesive unit for a long time. So I think that's why I kind of like them in the next leg against Dortmund, because they really looked like they dominated that match. And Dortmund scored on, one counter attack where, if Chelsea hits it like 2 inches to the right, that's off the post and in, and it's a completely different game. So, yeah, this is a Chelsea team where, I'm going to start expecting some results sooner than later before I expect Liverpool to make a turnaround.
Yeah, I wouldn't be stunned if like Chelsea was in a Champions League semifinal. Like, I just think they have enough talent to do it. Like, especially if they get rid of Potter. If they lose this weekend, I think Potter's gone. But if they do that and they bring someone in who's just kind of like, I don't know, it's just not working. Foxy, I mean, it's the same thing. Yeah, they just don't have that guy up front. If they could find someone that could put balls in the net, I think they'd be all right. But, that's the thing. I mean, if you can just scrape through this just somehow, some way against Dortmund, and then you're in a quarterfinal and you get a half decent draw, maybe you have a chance. Like, if they get drawn against Napoli, there's no chance. Napoli will outscore them. Somebody said, Bayern Munich will probably outscore them. But, if they get drawn against, I don't know, Benfica or somebody like, Inter, maybe a team that's kind of built like them or something like this, I think there's a chance they could get through. I got to go jump on my tram's coming here. So,
Okay.
I got to get ready to go up to the field. So, but I'll see you everybody tomorrow, and well, hopefully with a win in our pockets.
There you go.
Win it and over, right, Sean?
Hopefully it's 5-0 at halftime, so we can get some players off and rest them for the game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
They always give the advantage to the super rich teams. The Newcastle, all the rich money teams get the whole week off, while poor teams like us have to play midweek and battle and scrape and stuff like this, and then have to play again on Sunday. We can't catch a break.
No
man.
respect. It's a
We
Rodney
need to-
Dangerfield team.
We need new owners so we can get some get some. We need the cutter in here soon so we can get some backing and stuff and maybe get a little clout with the FA, man. We got no clout with the FA. So
There you go. Well,
All
thanks
right.
a lot from live from Manchester and the
Yep.
streets of Manchester.
there we go. They're all
And
lining up.
there's Piccadilly. All right.
Enjoy the rare sun.
Yeah.
They're already they're already lining up. So
The Barcelona people brought it with them, so that's
great. Yep. All right.
All right,
See you
take
guys.
care, bud. We'll talk to you.
Later, Sean.
Tomorrow. So there he goes. Intrepid reporter. He's still there. Okay. There he goes. Intrepid reporter Sean Miller on the streets of beautiful downtown Manchester. So it looked like a lot of things were going on there. And you're right. When I kind of got the same thing you did whenever I saw the picture with the sun in. I mean, my God, wasn't he in Barcelona the other day?
I was thinking the same thing. Did he take the train back?
Yeah, and not tell anybody. And it's like, okay, but he is where he's supposed to be, which of course is in Manchester. But we didn't get to see the green walls of the hotel.
Yeah.
So, well, and we're just getting used to decorating. But
The
yeah,
dreary walls.
right. So big article today about the shift. We're talking a little baseball here for a second. Speaking of shift, and how players are standing, in the box and hitting off the tee, trying to figure out how to hit the ball in the opposite direction. Okay, welcome to Little League, high-paid Little League.
Yeah, literally, like this is something you should know how to do if you got to that level. Like this is what George Brett was talking about.
Yeah, no, and he's
Hey,
right.
we shouldn't be practicing this. This should just be a given.
Okay, I have a huge pet peeve on that regard too. Is there no one on the planet that can bunt anymore?
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't see
Good
it.
Lord. Every time they go to bunt, they're smacking the ball, smacking them in the face. They're hitting, they're butting it straight up in the air. It's like, how? How is it possible you can't just simply bunt?
Yeah,
I remember Davey Johnson was managing the Nationals, and he had Levon Hernandez on the staff. Now, Levon Hernandez couldn't throw the ball at that point 50 miles an hour, let alone, back in the day type high 80s, low 90s, right? But Davey was asking, why didn't you put another player in, blah, blah, blah. He goes, no. He says, there's nobody in the league that bunts better than Levon Hernandez. And he goes, so if I need a bunt, I'm sending Levon up. He's my designated bunter. So
the DB.
Yeah, your TV. So it's crazy. You got the shifts, you got the time, and the new clock. All kinds of interesting stuff is going on, and we'll see. But man, fundamental baseball is difficult, and if you look at the teams who play well, in the fundamental baseball, they're usually the winning teams.
Yeah.
They understand that the most important thing is to keep the ball in play, or if you're out there in the field, to be able to catch it and know where the hell to throw it. Don't get the ball in right field and throw the ball over the third baseman's head and into the stands. Just pick it up and hit the cutoff beat. But that's what they're working on today in spring training. Who knows if they'll ever remember it? But it's a nice concept. They can do it.
Well, you know what? Also, with these changes, obviously, we don't know yet because we got to see the games get played first. But we don't know how the ball's going to change this year. It seems it always changes every year.
Yeah, that and the old My Pillow bases.
I
forgot
about the pizza box. You keep reminding me about the pizza box bases.
Yeah, God, they're huge. I mean, I thought I was watching a Nickelodeon thing when I was just when they showed a clip of Aaron Judge and some of the Yankees practicing, and you're looking at they had Giancarlo Stanton playing first base for a little bit, and they throw the ball to John, and Giancarlo Stanton is not a little man, okay?
Guy's a beast.
That base looked like it was swallowing his foot. I mean, it's like a cartoon.
Now, a lot of these guys who are like, they play on instinct
Right.
runners. Like they know when they hit a double right off
Sure.
the bat, and they're saying, I'm going for second. Do
Right.
you think maybe the bases trip some of these guys up who aren't used to it?
Oh man, I'm guessing, and this is just a guess. I'm guessing that we're going to see 3 or 4 really big time name stars have jammed wrists when they hit that, dive and they hit that base because the base is bigger.
I didn't even think about that aspect. I was just thinking like maybe on the run by they
Oh,
trip
I thought,
because
okay.
it's a
I
bigger.
thought you meant on the slide because.
But that's a good point too. That's what I mean. Like, do you see any of these guys doing something like that?
Well, I mean, that's a Trey Turner thing. They've got the oven mitts now where the oven mitts, which is crazy. But okay, fine.
And you got to make sure you lead with that hand. Like, what if you're in a situation where you need to do that thing where you like trick the
With
guy?
the hands, right? Yeah.
Now you don't have the oven mitt anymore.
You can't touch. Oops. Well, I mean, the thing with Trey, he broke his finger diving into second base, and the oven mitt went under the base.
Oh my god!
It's like, geez, come
just
on,
slips
guys.
right under because it's got like now it puts your fingers all together, so it's
Right,
got
Teflon.
that.
Let's break them all at the same time.
Yeah, it's got like that aerodynamic effect, just right under.
And the base just sucks it right up. It's like, oh man. No, I mean it's crazy, and there's going to be that. There's going to be this shift. The designated runner in the post, later inning situations. I don't know. I think I've seen. I've seen the thing that concerns me this year is the starting pitching. A lot of the guys who were good, are either coming off of some type of surgery or they're older. And, I love Clayton Kershaw to death. Fantastic ball player. I have no idea what he's going to be like this year. Absolutely not.
Yeah, you know what? And I think that's the thing. Like in the NFL right now, you're kind of seeing the old quarterback regime go out as the new guys come in. You don't really have that in baseball. It's still the old pitchers are dominating the experienced veterans who have been in those situations. They're not going to be a wild card like the younger guys sometimes that just have a bad game more often than the veterans might. But yeah, we're not really seeing that wave of young pitchers come up that like we see in the NFL with quarterbacks.
Well, the other thing too, and to your point on that, the thing that over the years in baseball, you've had the old school pitchers tutor the younger guys, right? To try to help bring them along. But if your best guy right now is throwing 6 innings and that's it, what is he teaching? I mean, for years, I mean, do I argue that Jacob deGrom is not good? No, of course not. Jacob deGrom is fantastic. Jacob deGrom is the best 6-inning pitcher in baseball. He won't get you to 7, but he'll get you to 6. I mean,
he tends to fall apart after that 5-6 inning.
Yeah, he's high strung. Number one. Number two, you cannot throw 6 innings, 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and expect and that's your pitch. It's Scherzer and Verlander have lasted longer because they are pitchers. Okay, my argument, theory of the case on Jacob deGrom is not that he's not a good pitcher. He just doesn't think like a pitcher. He throws the ball hard and forces you to make a decision of can you hit it where I'm throwing it.
Yeah, he's just trying to beat your swing basically with sheer force. Miss
the bat.
It's like Verlander and Scherzer are like the strategic, let's plan it out kind of guys. What am I going to throw here? This situation, but deGrom is the kind of guy that just I don't need a skill or a strategy. Right. I can just overpower you with sheer force.
Right. When he runs up a pitch count real fast. Now, I don't want to prescribe necessarily to pitch counts because different pitchers are different, are different. That one guy can throw 125 pitches and not hurt. Other guys can throw 90 and their arm's going to fall. So, you have to watch that too. But the thing with Verlander and Scherzer, and this was Max's thing. Max would tell you that when he took a look at the daily lineup card, when the card would come out, you would see in the dugout of the Nationals, you would see a pen marking, right? Like a Sharpie type pen marking in blue, which was that was Max's little pen. And there was only, what he would do is he would mark little X's, and the little X's would be beside the name of the guy who he thought he had to concern himself with. Everybody else was a blank sheet. Okay. It's like, this guy is not going to hit me. All right. This guy's not going to hit me. But, these 2 or 3 guys, they will. And I saw, people will say, well, even these great pitchers, a great hitter can always figure out a pitch. I remember a game against Baltimore when Manny Machado was there, and they were playing in a league, and Scherzer went 12 pitches. Okay, went full on him, and Manny wasn't getting a lot of the ball when he was fouling it off, but he's getting enough. So Scherzer tries to bury one, figuring maybe I can get him to swing on it, and he goes down and he digs it and golfs it over the left center field wall. And somebody says to me, man, Scherzer just didn't throw the right pitch. I'm like, no, sometimes you can throw the right pitch. You can put it right where you want it. But if the hitter is A, good, and B, can recognize it, he's going to hit it. So, you tip your hat to Manny. It's okay. Manny won that battle. It wasn't like Scherzer threw a bad pitch. He threw exactly what he wanted to pitch. But, sometimes the guys hit it. I'm sure if you talk to George, Brett, there'd be many times he'd say, look, I hit the guy's best pitch. And there's sometimes he'll say, you know what, I struck out on the guy's worst pitch.
Yeah, and
you're not looking for it.
That's just the sport, right? Like if you're good enough, you should be able to hit anything.
Yeah. And, or at least recognize it and foul it off. But sometimes you're not going to get it. The law of averages. But what was it? I think the stats on DeGrom the last 4 years was that his average was like 5.5 to 6 innings. There were sometimes you weren't even making a 6. Yeah. Now, in fairness, too, a lot of the losses, because he doesn't pile up a lot of wins. He's not a 21-game winner. The Mets never scored for the guy. And that was, how many times have you seen that? Where, there's a guy with almost damn near a 5 ERA, right? And he's got like 18 wins. And you're like, well, every time they play, they score 10 runs for him. DeGrom comes out to the mound. There's no runs left in their bat. They can't, he gets 2 runs and, no room for error.
That was always my my fear about betting on the Mets with DeGrom is it would always be like a super juiced line because it's DeGrom. And sure. I'm looking at it like the Mets never score for him. They just think they can rely on the pitching, but you still have to score to win the game. You can't win with 0 runs. So I always looked at it like, the under is probably a better play because at least and even if you just want to take the first 5 under because DeGrom will be out after 5 innings, at least he'll get you to 5 without giving up anything. So the Mets aren't going to score for him. So, you can get to the 5th inning 0-0.
And then he leaves the mound, but not for him.
And a lot of the times I did that, either like I would cash the under and then the Mets would end up losing that game in a low scoring, like 1-0, 2-1, or sometimes even, DeGrom would stay in for that 6th inning and just get lit up for like 5 or 6 runs. So
how many times to that point? Okay. How many times did Syndergaard go out on the next day and not really look like he had anything, but he was hitting it at everybody, and the Mets were scoring runs. And you're like, wait a minute. Syndergaard is getting all kinds of help. And, over here, you got DeGrom. The brother needs something and ain't getting anything.
Yeah, and I've always wondered about that. I feel like I don't know because I'm not in the clubhouse, but like I feel like it's almost a mindset thing. They know this is our best guy on the mound. We don't have to try as hard on offense. He'll keep the other team off the board. Whereas when the team knows, you're sending your guy up there, like up for us up here, Jose Barrios or Barrios.
Right.
This guy gave up like 8 runs. I knew from the start of the season, the first game he played, he gave up like 8 runs, and they ended up winning 10-8, right? But that's what I mean. His first 3-4 starts were like that, 6 runs, 6 runs. So eventually the team develops a mindset where like, oh, Barrios is on the mound. We have to score 12 runs today or we're going to lose.
Right. We got to go. We got to put up the big numbers.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's when Strasburg was first up in the league, if he was like one of those finely tuned guys, because you were saying, getting off the game, right? If an error was made, that would extend the inning, you could bet that Strasburg was going to do something stupid. I mean, it was the next pitch was going to hit out of the park, or he was going to walk a guy, or something. His mind was so like, keyed up that seeing somebody make a mistake threw him off his game. And John Smoltz, I talked to John Smoltz about it once. And Smoltz said, here's something that, because Smoltz went to a sports psychiatrist. He was a starting pitcher at the Braves. He couldn't get past 4 or 5 innings. Things were going nuts. And he decided maybe he could go to the bullpen and become a closer. But he went to a sports psychologist, and sports psychologists explained some of the issues he was having. And he comes out and he becomes an all-star closer. Again, because he was smart enough to realize there's something not right here. My head is freaking me out because things are distracting me from what I should be doing or what I should be understanding. So he had the brains to go out and get a sports psychiatrist. There are so many of these pitchers and in some regards players, batting, hitters that hit slumps, that they're so in their head that they can't get out of it. And you look at a guy like a Strasburg or somebody, a Syndergaard. All of those guys have tremendous talent, but geez, one little thing doesn't go their way, they're freaked.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was actually watching a video of Neil deGrasse Tyson the other day, and he had a sports psychologist on, and it was crazy the wonders these people do, because she was talking all about how she's treated golfers who had a guy on the tour who he would get up to the 18th hole and he would look at the leaderboard and start counting how many putts he needs to make to get up there, and his heart rate would rise, and it put him in it not only his mind, it put his whole body in a different mindset, and now you're not the same person that was playing the hole previously, right? So it's amazing the kind of mental blocks and the things you need to think about, how it also affects the rest of your body too. So yeah, I mean, sports psychologists, they know what they're talking about. Really, a lot of these guys should be consulting with them, and
if I had a team, I'd have one on staff.
Yeah, because they're there to help. It's like, how can I be me better, basically?
Right. And they keep comparing themselves to them. It's like, okay, it's me versus me.
It's basically legal performance enhancing without taking supplements.
Right. It's crazy. I asked Smoltz what else he got out of the, learn, what life lessons do you learn when you go to a psychiatrist? He said, I learned how to be a better golfer. And I said, how'd that happen? And he said, well, he says, again, you make a mistake, because the sports psychologist told him that the most important shot in golf is the first shot, is your first tee shot. If you hit the first tee shot,
it's always bad, Jim.
It's going to be a bad day.
There's never a good first tee shot. What are you talking about? It's always a shank into the lake or hit a goose in the head. I've done that a few times.
You hit a goose in the head?
I've hit a few goose, honestly.
In the air or on the ground?
Tee, and it was always on the first drive. No, like it was like, so twice it's happened. I had one time where I was shooting over a lake, and my shot was so hard, but along the ground, the ball skipped 3 times on the pond and then bounced up, and there was a goose. There was just like a goose chilling on the edge of the lake, and it bounced up to go onto the fairway, and it pegged the goose in the head and then hit the fairway. And then there was another time actually just this summer. It's funny because so the course it was the same course.
Right.
I was on the first time I did it was on the south side.
Right.
So, but because there's 3 9s, so I was on a different 9. I was on the first hole of the north side. But the first holes run up the same pond. It's the same pond in the middle. Just one hole's on the left and the other's on the right. So this time the goose were chilling not on the pond, but to the right. And again, there was just like a whole group of them. It was hard not to hit one, honestly. And I
not the same goose, of course.
No, not the same goose. That one was probably dead that I hit, but I sliced it and I clipped its wing so hard it wouldn't move. Like it was like lying there, and it was trying to move and it was like hopping, and I felt so bad, but like there's nothing I could do about it. My slice is just terrible. That's why I stopped using the driver, Jim. Part of the reason why I put it away from the I killed the goose with it.
The ASPCA was gonna throw you in jail.
I was like, well, it was an accident. The golf course knows, right? Like the marshal's watching on the first tee, and he knows. He's like, "What are you gonna do?" Like, I wasn't aiming for I'm aiming for the fairway. The ball hit the goose. If you could have aimed
for the goose and hit him like that, then you wouldn't have had a problem.
I was gonna say, if I was aiming for the goose, I would be on the tour. Okay, if I had that kind of accuracy, I would be on the PGA Tour. If my aim was that good, I could just queue up. I'm hitting that goose in the wing. Let's go.
I remember playing, growing up in Florida playing, and one of the best shots I ever hit. My brother's walking up there. He's ahead of me. And he says, "You're not going to play that ball." And I'm like, "Why? I mean, it's the best shot I made." And he goes, "Go ahead and play it." I said, "Well, why are you telling me not to?" He said, "There's a rattlesnake about 5 feet away from the ball. By the time you get to the ball, that may be the last stroke you ever take." So, he says, "Look, I'll make you a deal. You can do a drop on the other side of the fairway, even equal to your, where your ball is, but that ball's staying there. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to get it, and you're not going to get it." So, yeah, I mean, there are times when wacky things happen, and what are you gonna do?
I actually had my ball land on a green one time, and there happened to be like a family of geese. Like it was geese and a bunch of children right on the green. And I had to get to the ball because they were like surrounding it. So I literally, it was like, it took me like 5 minutes. Thank God nobody was behind us on the course. I took my club and I was like, kind of like trying to like herd cattle without touching it. And I was moving closer slowly so they would walk the other way. I was like, come on, just, keep going, just keep going.
Come on.
Keep going. And then when finally they were out of the way, I was like, oh, thank God. And then I just chipped and that was it. I was like, let's get out of here.
Okay, here's a couple questions from Bill. Wait a minute. We got that one. He thinks Barcelona's going to win today. Thank God Sean's gone.
Yeah,
You're right, Bill.
I liked Barcelona in the first leg, but after watching it, I mean, Man United looked better, and now they're going to be at home. So I don't know how I feel about Barcelona for sure. But yeah, Bill, these second legs can be tricky sometimes because it's not just about the teams and the talents. You also got to take into account the score on aggregate. Like the Fiorentina one, for example, I was asking Sean about. I wanted his opinion. Like Fiorentina's a minus 163, but they're up 4-0 on aggregate. They don't need to win this, and they're more of a defensive team anyway. They're going to sit back on defense here at home because they could lose 3-0 and still advance. So, maybe that's a game to look at Braga double chance because, Braga, they lost 4-0 in the first leg at home, but 3 of those goals were after they got a red card. So really they were only down 1-0 prior to the red card. So, they're going to be pushing their attack in this match. This might be one where, even if they don't win, they could draw. I don't see Fiorentina winning again when they're already up 4-0 and they're really not that great of a team. So, but that one's in the Conference League. If we're looking at Europa League, touching back on that Nantes and Juventus game that Jim asked about, Juventus, I think they should have won back at home last week. Now that they're going on the road against Nantes, you know, Nantes a really good defensive team, and they tend to play better when they're at home. So the under's juiced in that game, but I feel like that's what maybe even take Nantes double chance, because Juventus is a team we've seen them time and time again go on the road and get destroyed. They could beat some of the bad teams in Italy on the road, but like a majority of the time, they don't fare well. They win 1-0 games, or they come away with draw. Even in the Champions League, we saw them get destroyed by Maccabi Haifa when they went to Israel. So I'm telling you, this Juventus team is not a team that travels well. So definitely, I know the -125 is tempting, but that's definitely one I wouldn't stay away. Or I would stay away from. Roma's a team I like today. Again, a little juiced at the -150, but I think, Bill, that Roma's a team where they're just better than Salzburg. They play in a higher quality league. They have higher quality players. I know they lost 1-0 in Austria, but again, like Roma, it's Jose Mourinho. They were coming to play for the draw before they were coming to play for the win in that match. They were just going to try and get out of there 0-0 and win it at home. Now that they're down 1-0, you know, this Roma team, they're defensive, but they're also a team that can score when they're at home. And I think they're really going to have to go for it today. So Roma's a team actually I kind of like at home today to beat Salzburg.
Foxy, on your NBA thing, I was looking at the schedule real quick. If I had to pick a game, it would either be the Pelicans and the Raptors, with given the Pelicans a road win, or Warriors Lakers. I don't know what's the line on the Warriors Lakers.
The Warriors is -5.5 for the Lakers.
And they're playing in LA.
Yeah.
I
the old crypto.com arena.
I think they could cover that. What do you think? The Warriors?
Yeah, you know, they got that rebuilt team now. The NBA is weird. I know this is the first day back, but like they had so much time off. They take more time than the hockey took for the All-Star break. Like I don't understand this league. It's a bad product night after night. There's no defense. And then you guys take a week off, which is a huge break in momentum. Honestly, I have no idea what to expect from these teams tonight. And I'm treading very lightly with the NBA. But yeah, I might end up having 2 plays, but they're probably going to be home teams.
I know. The Lakers are at 13. They're 27-32. They've lost 4 out of the last 10. And the Warriors are hovering at 500 at 29-29, and they're 5-5 in the last 10.
Here.
So,
if you're looking for a prop, Foxy, maybe Nikola Jokic over 23.5. I know the Nuggets are dealing with a lot of injuries, and they haven't really been great on the road. Jamal Murray is questionable tonight, so he might play. He might not play. If he doesn't play, it's even better for you. But even if he does play, you know, Jokic, this guy's that 2-time MVP. It's probably going to be the 3-time MVP after this year. And like I said, the Nuggets haven't been good on the road this year, and the Cavaliers are a very good home team. So if Denver's going to keep up in this game, Jokic needs to score, and I think 23.5 is pretty low for a guy like that, considering
that's pretty good, you're right.
Considering he literally just gobbles everything up.
So Braga double chance.
Well, yeah, just because, you know, I think Braga is probably like and even Foxy touched on it too in the chat, like Fiorentina's not going to try with the 4-goal lead. They don't need to try. They need to sit on this defensively. And even then, like, they know we'd have to allow 4 goals to lose today. And that's assuming we don't score at all. So, but I don't think, like, Braga, they could solve the Fiorentina defense, but still, like I said, they were hampered for 35 minutes of that match, and they were only down 1-0 prior to the red card. So it's not like they were getting destroyed beforehand and the red card didn't do much. The red card was a big factor of how that game got out of hand. So yeah, I think, you know, Braga's probably the team that's really going to have to come and push today.
And they might, but you never know. I'm looking one more time about that Lakers game against the Warriors, and I'm just seeing if there's anybody hurt.
Yeah, that's the other thing with the Lakers, right? Is like they've been so bad all year, and now they just like swapped their whole team. So I don't know, like they're supposed to be better. I look at the team on paper and I'm like, this team is going to be better, but at the same time, I need to see how they play, right? So,
man, they got D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Mike Beasley, and Mo Bamba.
strong team now.
Tell me any one of those four guys that is going to make them a playoff team.
Well, I mean, it's, I guess, D'Angelo Russell. But the thing is with the Lakers, they need role players like that because, you know, they try to bring in a big name and they don't mesh with LeBron. It just is a continuous problem.
Okay, ding, 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 ding. No, stay away from this. Steph Curry isn't back yet.
Oh yeah, okay then. Yeah, absolutely. And the Warriors are terrible on the road, aren't they? Like 6 and
pretty bad. Yeah,
or
it's
something
not
like
a good.
that.
I mean, they're also going to be without Andre Iguodala.
He's been out for most of the season.
He's been out for weeks. Yeah, Ryan Rollins is recovering from a torn left foot. He's got surgery, and Gary Payton II has got an abductor. So yeah, he's not playing. So basically, I'm pretty close to. I think the Warriors G League team's going to be there. I have no idea.
Yeah, these teams are just
they're banged up, man. They are really banged.
And it's tough. Like I said, it's tough coming out of the All-Star break to know what you're going to get, especially when these guys had the trade deadline right before. Yeah. Every team swapped all their players, and we haven't really seen these guys play. But I hear Kevin Durant's going to be back for the Suns tomorrow.
Yeah, it's Kevin Durant. I mean, come on.
So
he needs about 5 minutes of warm up.
He was waiting for the All-Star break. I guarantee you, he was ready to go before the All-Star break. But he said, "I don't want to play in the All-Star break. I don't want to waste my time with this uselessness. So I'm gonna fake my injury till past the All-Star break, and then magically I'll be ready to come back afterwards. Need that extra week."
Yeah.
Which, you know, I agree with him. I don't like the All-Star break. So, you know, good on you, Kevin. Like, go enjoy the beach for a week. Why the hell you got to go play basketball? Score 180 points. Ridiculous.
Well, I would actually take the Lakers on. You know, you could.
The Lakers are -6.
They're giving 6?
They're -5.5. You gotta lay the 6 with the Lakers. They're favored.
Jeez.
You gotta lay the 6 with them. So yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a tough one. It's really a tough one. I've been staying away from this Lakers team all year because I don't know what they are.
You gotta fade the Lakers. You just can't. I don't know, Bill.
Fade the Lakers.
It's who would have thought, right? Fading the Lakers.
Always fade the Lakers. It's the biggest like money maker in sports. They're just bad. They're a bad team. I don't know.
Well, and this is a LeBron issue. Okay.
I agree. He's focused more on his, post-career.
Because you don't know what he's going to do. I mean, he can go off for 39 points or he can go off for 20 and basically, waltz through it. So you don't know what's going on. As you said, and I agree with you, they have a bunch of role players. I mean, this is Miami. This Laker team is Miami his last year.
He's trying to recreate something here, right?
Where they had – it was him, it was Dwayne, and it was, the big boy. And, and 4 guys named Mo. I mean, you could – I defy you to name 4 players other than those 3 on that Miami Heat team. And it's not that way in Los Angeles. I mean, you look up and – I mean, I saw – I don't know what I was looking at. I saw something, and it had a box score and some information on a Laker game the other day. And I'm looking at him and I go, geez, I didn't even know he played for the Lakers. When did he show up? And
it's become like a revolving door almost, right? Because then you'll see like a guy on another team, and you're like, wasn't he on the Lakers like 4 months ago?
It's like they make trades or cut people, and guys show up, and it's like a bus station outside, the Crypto Dome or whatever the hell they're called.
I like that. That's better than Crypto.com arena.
Oh.
The Crypto Dome.
Right. I
Jim,
mean,
why aren't you working for like the schedule makers or the arena namers? Like, come on,
Yeah.
man. The Crypto Dome sounds badass.
right. And, not for nothing, but please do not tell me anymore that Madison Square Garden is the, how many times the Staples Center to me, well, Cryptodome, has become the place to beat somebody. Everybody beats the Knicks in, Madison Square Garden.
It's the Mecca. It's the Mecca effect.
Yeah. You can blow that Mecca up as far as I'm concerned.
It's like every player wants to come into Madison Square Garden and perform because it's the big stage in the NBA.
The funny thing about Madison Square Garden, and I've done games there before, is that the announcers sit up like you would if you're hockey. Okay. So they're not on the court. They're back up in the, up in the crow's nest. And they're kind of watching the game on television like everybody else. But it's built on top of Penn Station. So when you come in on the train, right, you get on the elevator, press 7, and you literally, the doors open up, and there you are at Madison Square Garden.
I hear they want to move it, though, from the Penn Station.
Where? That's the problem. I mean, it's Manhattan. You don't have a lot of open real estate in Manhattan.
I don't know, something like.
I read where there's a couple of.
They want to move it like down the street, literally down the street.
Yeah, no, they want to move to where the Javits Center is, which is like the Javits Center was named after Jacob Javits, who was a famous senator and governor of New York, and the Javits Center is one of New York's kind of convention centers. So if you wanted to get rid of the convention center and build the new Madison Square Garden on that land, the footprint would be about the same. So that's the theory. But I think what you've seen with the building of the Barclays Center, right, in Brooklyn, they've reduced the seating in there.
Yeah.
It's only 15,000 people. But the sight lines are amazing, right? So why, if you're going to rebuild Madison Square Garden, why not rebuild it and make it, a nice arena rather than going in and, is it something to go in? It's like going to a museum. With a basketball court, not unlike the old Boston Garden. And I'll tell you, I don't know what the hell was going on. The Boston Garden back in the day when Bird and the guys played there, now it's a TV garden, it's a totally different building. It could be 20 degrees outside. It'd be hot in that place. You can imagine as they got later into the season, into playoffs, how hot that building got.
It's like that one college basketball gym you were talking about.
Yeah.
Where you have to go outside at halftime, lay in the snow.
Right. Let me just go take a quick plunge. But yeah, I don't know. Well,
it's all the people in the enclosed space. That's really what it is.
Yeah, probably. That, and it got a bad rap for hockey sightlines, but I don't understand. Some people were mad about that. Then they go out and build a new arena for the Islanders, and it's a mess, and nobody can get to it. So,
but it's a nice arena, I hear. Once you're in it, it's a nice arena. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's a nice arena.
It's lovely if you can make it.
If you can find a way, if you can find a map or something to get there.
But one last bit of trivia here with Brooklyn. Okay, the building, the Barclays Center, is built on top of 7 trains that come in there. Okay, so I don't care where you are, you can get to the Barclays Center without a problem on the train. That's the same site the Brooklyn Dodgers turned down before moving to Los Angeles. So, fast forward 45 years and they built the Barclays Center.
So there you go. The Dodgers saw something bad that the Nets.
And the mojo wasn't there. I don't know. Then you go out and build a stadium in Chavez Ravine. They literally built a baseball stadium into the side of a mountain.
Yeah,
So, good on them. It's still a lovely place to go, Dodger Stadium.
yeah.
They have definitely upgraded it time and time again. But anyway, all right. Well, tomorrow we're going to talk a little baseball. We talked about that, and we'll probably find out if Sean is, excited about a win or upset about a loss. Bill's saying that the Celtics might be the good play first half.
Touching on what Foxy said here, I agree. I like the Cavaliers to win the game, but I think considering the situation the Nuggets are in and on the road here,
right.
Jokic is going to be their one source of offense.
Well, and if you notice the way the Cavaliers play, they'll let you score. They'll let your main guy score. They'll take everybody else away, but they'll let you. It's like, fine, go ahead.
You want to do it yourself? Do it yourself.
Right. You want to throw a Maravich at me and score 68 points? Go ahead. Was it Kobe scored 80 once?
Yeah, something like that. It's
ridiculous. So ridiculous off the ball. I mean, it's like he was playing playground basketball, Nerf ball or whatever. No, the Cavaliers. They've got a good little team.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell. It's damn good. Turn that team around. It was supposed to be a Nick too, and they screwed that up somehow.
And Foxy's just saying that he's going to have a look. Nice from Bill. Pick up on the Celtics. Yeah, first half. Oh, man. NBA basketball freaks me out when you start looking at halves, right? It's like, I have no clue.
Because the team that's down by 20 at halftime is
probably
going to be the team that wins.
Right. It's like, it's going to happen.
Oh, that's why I hate it. I hate it too. I'm watching in the first half and I'm like, okay, your team's down by 14, but just breathe. That'll be tied at halftime. And sure enough, I check back in like an hour and it's 54-54. And I'm like, oh, what a surprise.
It's funny. I don't know if you saw it, but Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, was at a Duke basketball game the other day, sitting courtside with Krzyzewski, which, I would never have thought Krzyzewski would sit courtside opposite the coach and the team, but he did. And you're thinking to yourself, I wonder if ever, Krzyzewski has trouble with his iPhone if he hands it to Tim Cook and said, you're an Apple genius. Here, get it fixed.
Where's the calculator?
I'd like to watch, I'd like to watch soccer on my Apple TV. Can you put it? It's on my phone. Can you find it for me? It's knowing good people in good places. There's no question about that for Coach Cole. But I'm a far better fan of the college game than I am the pros. I just can't, it's just, first of all, I don't particularly think it's that entertaining. And there's something about a college atmosphere that makes it fun. So, but I might be in the minority on that one. But.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's bad. It's bad product. Like I said, you don't have to watch till the fourth quarter.
I'd rather watch hockey.
Yeah, good hockey game. Right, maybe not a boring one, but these days all the hockey games seems to be like baseball scores now. So
they don't have to shift in hockey, so
you could blindly bet the over on every hockey game on a night and come out ahead.
Let me leave you with this thing. I want your opinion on this, and then we'll close it up for time. I've argued year in and year out that the toughest trophy in all of sports to get is the Stanley Cup, because you have to win 16 games after the season to win it. That is an incredible amount of games before it. Hell, it's almost a quarter of the season that you have to win. And and you've got ice that's you played, ice gets wonky after 2 or 3 periods out there. I don't care how good the
Ice gets wonky after the Zamboni leaves.
That's what I'm saying.
It's all wet and weird. It's actually, honestly, I've always hated going on right after the Zamboni because I was a goalie and everything's wet. You want there to be snow.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. There's times that I've seen when the Zamboni goes by, there's like little ice blocks right by the goal where it looked like they pushed the damn stuff. It's like, why would you push these little ice blocks to the left or right post of the goalkeeper? I mean, so it's like you have to shoot through a snow globe to get in.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like the way the Zamboni, when it leaves the ice and it has to raise the thing.
The bar.
And so it tends to leave a lot of like extra water residue right at the boards. Oh. So you can end up getting, like a little bit of a patchy like chunk or an uneven, just because that's usually, it tends to be a point of entry. And it's not just the Zamboni, it just tends to be a common used point of entry onto the ice. Right. And then obviously, around the crease, they literally have to hammer the nets in like with that ice thing, right? Or else the nets will just be flying all over the place. So you gotta have some holes on the goal line for the nets to like stay in. Sort of. It's a weird. There's a lot of maintenance, and I totally agree with you on the Stanley Cup aspect where it's the hardest to win. And I know actually a lot of people I hear think the Stanley
Cup is the coolest trophy
as well. Yeah. Well, it weighs the most too. Like it's got the Lombardi Trophy and the Larry O'Brien ain't got nothing on the Stanley Cup. They just keep adding layers to it, and eventually they're not going to be able to lift it at all. But
when NBC had the NHL around Stanley Cup time, I get a call from the front desk here in the building, and they said there's these 2 men that are delivering something to you. And I'm like, I can't remember ordering anything that would require anybody to take it, let alone 2 guys.
Did I order that pizza?
Did I order a pizza? It's so big, it has 2 guys carrying. It must be the third base. So anyway, I get the knock at the door. I open the door. There's these 2 guys in tuxedos with white gloves.
Fancy visit.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, what the heck is it? And
white gloves.
And they sit it down. I put it on the table. I open it up. It is the Stanley Cup in cupcakes.
Oh my God.
So there was a cupcake for each team that was in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
That's great.
That's the coolest thing. I mean,
I love that.
It should have gone to the newspaper office instead of my home, but not that I didn't feel like sharing, but it was cool. I mean, obviously it's not the cup, but it looks like the cup, and it's got cupcakes in it, so not a bad. And there's the little logos of each one of the teams was on top of the cup. I mean, off the top of the cakes, but I attempted to hold it once, and it pretty much killed me. I did see it constantly with Ovechkin and the Capitals, who seemingly took it everywhere in the greater Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia, Maryland area.
Oh, yeah.
It was everywhere, omnipresent. You look up and you see some guy with the cup.
Some guy's just riding around. Just like, is that the Stanley Cup?
Again? Did you bring the cup over again? Did you have to?
Oh, my God.
He took it to the stadium, to the Nationals game, and everybody, including the Nationals. The Nationals ran out on the field, this is year, and had their pictures taken with the cup.
Bought a seat for it. Ovechkin's just sitting in a chair with the Stanley Cup beside him at the Nationals game.
There's got a Nationals jersey around the cup. It's like, it's when they won, they enjoyed it. And I saw the boat parade that Tampa Bay had, and I guarantee you there wasn't anybody throwing the cup back and forth across the, from one boat to the other like Brady and Gronk did with the, with the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah, that might be the one thing Gronk does drop in his life.
Stop it. Yeah.
Trying to catch the Lombard, or no, sorry, trying to catch the Stanley Cup. Like, good luck with that, Brock.
The one thing that I can recall being heavier than, I mean, it's not as heavy as the Stanley Cup, but heavier than the other major, baseball has its own little, it looks like a little stadium with all the team pennants on it, is the Heisman Trophy. And I was surprised. I mean, I was handed it, and I thought I was going to go through the floor. I'm like, this was a massive thing, and it's because that statue is literally bronze.
Yeah.
So it's not like they cheaped out on it. And my understanding from asking the guy whose trophy I almost dropped, what the deal was, is, well, you have to have a sturdy base to go on to the trophy. The guy's pushing his hand out like the figure, and it was like, wow, this is.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It looks like a ton, and I thought, like I said, he handed it to me. I think I'm going to the floor.
Yeah,
but, trophies are cool, but at Stanley Cup, you got to really work and those little wonky goals that you end up looking at and going, how in the hell did that get in? Which means, like, man, but please, there's nothing more, you're in overtime in a Stanley Cup playoff game. That's about as exciting as it gets.
6th overtime.
Yeah. What was it? The Islanders and the Caps played 4 overtime.
Yeah, there was one like that, I think, a year or two ago, but the record is 6.
Yeah, the reason I remember that is I actually had to do a basketball game. And I was at the basketball game. I left, and it was, they were in the pregame show, right? Almost to the puck drop. And so I figured, I got to go do this game. So go to the game, come back, turn on the TV, and I'm thinking, I'm watching the replay of the Capitals. It's like, no, it's the 3rd overtime. I'm like, what?
No, you're watching
for 5 hours. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, that's the sport for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's brutal.
I enjoyed it.
And remember, they're carrying around like 20 pounds of equipment too.
Oh yeah,
brutal. It's brutal. Skating back and forth.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why, like, I know basketball, they play like the same 16 games to win the trophy, but your court's not as big. You're not wearing the kind of equipment you're wearing in hockey. It's not the same physicality. In hockey, you can literally punch people in the face in a fight, or straight up just like crush someone on the boards. There's no boards to do that in basketball. And if you hit somebody in basketball like really hard, it's a foul. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just the physicality
there. Yeah.
All that, nothing beats the NHL. Right. Definitely the toughest sport to win.
Well, the other thing too, isn't the NBA the first round 2 out of 3?
Now they're doing like,
or 3 out of 5 or something like that.
So it used to be like the NHL, but now they've added like the 9 and 10 teams, right? Mm-hmm. So now it's like it used to be like the NHL where it was top 8 in each conference. Sure. Now it's top 6 and then 7, 8, 9, and 10. So basically, 7 and 10, and then 8 and 9. I think they play in like a one-off playoff game, and then the 2 of those meet up in like a 2 out of 3. So yeah, but this is all very new. That's why.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I'm still not used to it yet because it's the weirdest thing. I think we've only had like 1 or 2 years of it where they.
Well, yeah, because I did tune into a game on TNT one night, and they said, "Well, this is the deciding 3rd game," and I'm like, the deciding 3rd game of what?
Yeah. So basically it was 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9. And then the winners of those 2 play each other, I guess, for the last playoff spot.
Right.
Oh, no. No, how it works. I think if the 7, I don't know how it works, but I think if one of those teams, like I think that the 7th seed wins their game, they're automatically through. And then the loser of that one plays like the winner of the 9 and 10 or whatever. I think the 7 and 8 play. It's so.
Tell me when they get to the finals.
You know what? Talk to me tomorrow when I'll look into it.
No, don't worry about it. It's one of those things that if we don't know, that's cool. It's just I just remember tuning in and seeing a decisive game 3, and I'm like, okay, Is it decisive because if they go up 3-0, then chances are that they're not gonna pull it out? Or
Yeah.
that wasn't the case. It decisive was they both won a game, and now whoever wins this one moves on to the next round.
Pretty much.
So yes. Anyway, well, Bill, Foxy, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. And we're gonna talk a little baseball tomorrow, so we're gonna have some fun there. Got some really good, cool stuff coming up. And this weekend, as a matter of fact, there's already college baseball. There will be pro baseball. They'll have a couple of exhibition games over the weekend. Not that I would wager on them, but it's always good to turn on the TV when it's cold outside and see somebody playing baseball in Arizona or Florida. So
it's always nice to see Sean in England and see some sun
Yeah.
in the air, right?
yeah, so the poor guy doesn't end up dying of frostbite. So that's always good. So it's not sunny here, so I can't share that with you. But anyway, it's been fun. We'll have tomorrow. I don't know if Sean's going to join us tomorrow or not, but we'll see.
Depends on the game today.
Right, depends on the game, and then he's going to London, so we may be at Piccadilly Circus tomorrow. So you never know. I mean, anything's possible when we have our intrepid reporter overseas.
Oh yes,
It's always it's always sunny in Philadelphia. Well, it's always sunny in Barcelona. We know that much too. So, boys and girls, for Amedeus, I'm Jim. See you tomorrow. Take care.